Liam, we've just had a conversation with the other Liam Sweeting, and talking about this transfer window. I'd imagine everyone is very content with the way this transfer window has gone, and especially deadline day.
Yeah, I'd go a bit further and say I'm actually quite happy with it. I think we've done some really good work. Really excited by some of the players that we've brought in. I think they'll definitely add to the culture that we've got, but they'll also bring different qualities again, which I've spoken about before that we haven't necessarily had. So yeah, I think it's been an eventful, extremely busy and an extremely stressful window. But at the same point, I think we come out the other side in a really good spot.
Spoken to Liam about the transfer deadline day signings. From a recruitment perspective, from a footballing perspective, let's talk about those three players then. Matt Smith, just talk us through the kind of player he is and what he will bring to the side.
Yeah, obviously really good pedigree. He's one of those, I think, where he's going to be really enjoyable to watch. I think you saw him in training this morning, but when you see his quality on the ball, he moves really nicely with it. He's comfortable under pressure. He can manipulate, out of tight situations, and then he's got a really good range. And I think what he'll bring is a real threat. I think he looks to hurt you with the ball by passing it. He's got a good range. You'll look to play him behind you. At the same point, he can play through and play around you. So I think he's technically very good. He's someone that's extremely comfortable on the ball. So I think he's a really good addition in terms of what we can add into the middle of the pitch. So he's been delighted that he's joined us.
And an area you needed some extra players. Yeah,
obviously, David out of his injury, and obviously, Ethan and Matty moving on. We obviously brought Connor in earlier in the window. He's been a solid addition as well. And I think what he does is he brings competition, and he brings again, he's different to Connor, and he's different to Josh Mack. So again, we've got a real blend and a real variety of central midfield players.
Talk to us about Dan Kemp, then, a player you know very well.
Yeah, I go back a long way with Kempy in terms of signed him from Chelsea actually to West Ham. So we go back away in terms of over in I think 3 years at West Ham. So I know his qualities. I know what he's good at. I know I think what he really complement us in terms of style wise. I think sometimes players like him can get a little bit lost in the in the lower leagues because of styles of games. So I think when I look at especially when we played against blocks previously, I think what he brings is a real intelligence of his movement and his positioning. He's someone that will play a real discipline, and again he's a real threat. So you see in training this morning he was quite lively. So I think from a playing perspective, he can play 7, 10, 11. He can play in all those positions. And again he's someone that's lively, someone that's actually quite exciting to watch. And I think knowing his character as well as also a massive appealing thing. He'll bring a lot to our culture in terms of he's really driven. He's constantly looking to get better. He's ambitious. He wants to be the best he can be, and we have to keep pushing that in our culture, that we have got players that really want to become the best they can be.
And Kane Kessler from Villa then on loan. You've used the club have used the loan market really well this season, expecting big things from a young player that wants to come to MK Dons to develop. Yeah,
again, I think it credit to the club, the staff, the group here that we're able to get another player of real high pedigree from a Premier League team, and that they're trusting us with to continue and extend his development. I think if you saw the first half of the season, he did extremely well at Swindon. Who if you actually see any of Swindon, you see their stats very similar in terms of style. They have a lot of possession. So I watched a fair few of his games in August, and then even from then to the window opening. Obviously, I saw him in the FA Cup as well against City, which I thought he did particularly well in that night as well. So he's someone that we've been tracking a little while, and I think when I look at his qualities, I think he's going to give us a lot in terms of he's quite explosive, he's quick off the mark, he wants to get forward, he wants to join in attacks, and he's comfortable playing under pressure as well. So I think he's going to be another really good addition.
And if you look at Jamie Cumming and Connor Coventry, Connor Wickham, Theo Corbinu as well, it's been, there have been players that have left that were fitting in very nicely. Ethan Robson, Peter Kioso. But what the club has done is recruited to backfill. Sounds like a horrible word, but to backfill those players and push on. It's been a really good transfer window for the club.
Yeah, extremely busy, and again, I think that giving him a lot of credit, and he deserves it, Liam Sweeting, in terms of he's constantly working, and even now he'll start working on the summer. So I think what you find with a window, that there's certain things that come out of the blue, that opportunities arise that you can't plan for, and that's obviously football. But there's also a huge amount of work you can do to be best prepared when things like what we've had this window do happen. So I feel we've had a really good blend this window. Probably more I'd say a calculated, a plan we know a lot about, and then there's a few that we know a lot about that you sometimes don't think they're available, that it's not possible, and they obviously they come up and you can get them. So I think that's been the case with a couple of the guys. So yeah, I definitely think we've come out the end of the window in a really good spot. And I think what helps, if you see that the first three that came in probably in terms of four, with Connor Wickham, Connor Coventry, Jamie, Theo, I think what you found there is that the actual group we've got here, they've run the culture here, which is so important, and why you see that quick, smooth, easy transition on the guys that have joined. So I think that's something that we have to make sure that we do as quick as possible, is integrate the three lads that we took yesterday, so that we can keep the team in a good spot.
And you must be absolutely delighted that you're going to continue for the rest of this season and push for promotion with Scott Twine and Harry Darling in your ranks.
Yeah, definitely. Look, they're two lads that have done terrific this season. Their level's been extremely high, and that I'll be challenging them definitely second half of the season to maintain that, and if not improve it. I think it's never about being content, and knowing them two characters, they want to be the best they can be. So it's on us as staff to make sure that we keep pushing them and keep stretching them. But the fact that there was a lot of noise, and we spoke about it before, there's been a lot of talk around our players, which elements I see as a huge compliment, because it means the team's done well. That individually they've done well, and the club are doing the right things in terms of the recruitment that we've made, the development in them players that the staff have done. So I see it as a huge compliment. But as you find in this game, a lot of it's noise, a lot of hot air surrounding them. But the fact that we can sit here today knowing that we've got them for to the end of the season, a massive thing for the team, definitely.
And just find, I know we're going to catch up later on the week and look ahead to the weekend's fixture, but how's Josh McCleary? Of course, in the last couple of games, he's played so well and become such an integral part of what you're doing. Everyone's a little concerned. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay. He didn't train today, but it's better than we thought, or we hope. I think there's an element where there's a case of it needs to settle down, and we need to have a look at it. But then we'll try and build him up, hopefully Thursday, Friday, to see how he is. And it won't be until he comes out Thursday, Friday that you really know. So it's not nothing long term, we don't think. But again, with them types of injuries, they're quite awkward. They're not straightforward. So we'll see how it settles down. He said it feels a lot better in the last couple of days. He's continually improving. So we'll see at the end of the week how he is.
Nice one, Liam. Thank you.
No problem.
Is it sometimes harder to integrate players in the January window, or is it somewhat a little bit easier than in summer, because they're straight into playing games, and that's, I suppose, the bread and butter of playing football, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And again, I think it helps when the team's in a good spot. I think the lads are coming in, they're on a high, they're bouncing, it's quite noisy, quite lively, which is important. I think you want players to come in and enjoy and look forward to what they're doing. So having the lads come in, I think they'll integrate quite quickly. I think we've got such a good group of people that I think they're really open and welcoming. So I don't think we'll have any concerns over that.
And in terms of getting the best out of them, I mean, we obviously know that Dan and Kane have already been playing recently. Matt, probably not so much, but are they ready to, go straight into the team? Not necessarily into your starting lineup, but maybe potential that there's there for it, that they can go straight in and be a part of that first team squad straight away. Yeah, no,
they're touch wood, they're all fit, they're all in a good spot, they're all ready to go. So I think it's important you paint the picture of what they're joining as well. They're joining a team that have been doing well. So I think it's what it will do is it's a really good lift for the group to go, right, you've got to keep competing, you've got to keep fighting. We've got some obviously some new guys in that want to prove themselves and are excited to be here and want to show what they can do. So hopefully what we then get is another bounce from the guys that are playing to go, come on then, hold your spot. So I think that in-house competition is extremely healthy, and I think we've got three lads that are joining that are in a good spot that can provide that competition and play a big part between now and the end of the season.
What did you learn about, I suppose, the football business from a January transfer window, because it's obviously not a good one. It's not one that a lot of managers really enjoy because of the disruption that it can cause. But there must have been an awful lot of lessons and eye-raising experiences that you'd come across this last month.
Yeah, no, definitely. It feels a lot longer than a month, I can assure you that. It was quite nice to come back, today to the office, and Liam's not waiting outside my door with some news, good or bad, to be fair. So it's quite nice to actually know that I can come back and there's not going to be anything in terms of speculation or rumours. And I think that's the biggest thing. I don't think it's I definitely learned a lot. I think in terms of just managing certain situations, how you communicate with people. I think for me, even more so, it just stresses to me the importance of my values as a person, and operating with a level of respect and integrity, especially externally. I think I got into coaching, I think, because I wanted to help people. That first and foremost, obviously, and the fact I love football. But I think we had a long chat about it as a group of staff. That for us, it's really important that we operate with a level of integrity, and I understand that it's an industry where people's jobs are on the line. There's pressure to perform. There's pressure to get results. But I also don't think at the same time you have to trade off, showing respect and integrity to others in the industry. So I think, that for me is probably big learning in terms of us as a group of staff. What do we want to do? How do we want to be perceived? How do we want to operate? What are our values? I think it's been really good for us from that perspective to do some in-house reflection on us as a group of staff and as a club. I think that what I know here is we've got a group of decent people.
And a relief not to be talking about a transfer window for a bit, eh?
Yeah, no, it'd be nice to move on from that, to be fair.
Nice one, thanks, mate.
All right.
Liam, you mentioned respect and integrity there. Culture is quite a big thing for you and for your staff, as you said. Does it help having the majority of your team roughly around the same sort of age and still fairly young to help really mould that sort of culture that you're after?
Yeah, I think so. I think it and again, I wouldn't just put the age in it. I think I have to say there's been some really good recruitment here over, before we came in as well. So Liam's done terrific in terms of that, of recruiting the right type of person, because having worked in academies, obviously at 23s for a long time, you still at 20, we're young lads, you can still get some cute, even probably more so, big egos with, lack of self-awareness that, I think they're a lot better than they are, that maybe don't want to work hard enough. So I wouldn't necessarily put it down to the age element. I think what we have got is a group of really hungry, ambitious, driven people, which I think you get with a certain age bracket. So I think we have to, really harness that. We have to, promote that. We have to, really drive that within our culture, because what it then does do is it improves the players, it improves the team, and obviously, hopefully, we can pick up more results. So I think I also then look at it, from the older guys. I look at Connor Wickham, Josh McCleary, Skip, in terms of what they bring to the culture, and it's very much, they're still, Skip still comes in and does his clips after a game. He sits in the office and he'll watch his clips back. And that for me, what a terrific role model for the young players to see and know that's happening. And that's ultimately because he's someone that interested in the game, loves the game, wants to know how he's performed. And, I think that for me kind of epitomizes the culture that we want to have here.
And when you first arrived at the club, it was highlighted quite prominently that you were joining as a head coach rather than as a traditional manager. I'm sure the fans would love to know, how involved are you with transfer negotiations? Are you talking to clubs and agents, or is it more of a take a step back, focus on the on-pitch product and letting Liam Sweeting and the recruitment team sort of get on with things?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. There's a lot of talk around it. I think the biggest thing, me and Liam work so closely. We're in, our offices are 20 meters apart. We're constantly in each other's offices. Especially in January, it's been non-stop. We're on the phone 3, 4, 5 times a day. We're constantly discussing players. We're, discussing, right, are you speaking with this agent? Am I speaking with him? And again, I think it's a process where we've all got the same goal. We've all got the same agenda. We're all working towards the same thing. I think we're all clear in what. Again, I think that's probably the biggest thing when I look at the club. We're really quite clear, I think, in our identity at the minute. We're not going to be a team that's going to go and spend fortunes and, like some other teams have in the league, because we're not able to do that. So I think what that then does do is it brings a real strength to us that we know what we are. And I think, that structure, what it allows us to do is work really closely, knowing what type of player that we want. And there's also that trust element where you back each other. I've pushed particularly hard for a few players, the same as Liam. But I think what you then get is, you know, we're not far out in terms of what we're both looking for ultimately anyway. So there's a real alignment, and I think it's important to stress that we're both on the same page with players coming in, and it's a real open, honest discussion. And I think that's worked really well this January. That, you know, Liam doesn't have an ego, and I'd hope he'd say the same about me. That it's a sit down and go, right, what's best for the football club, what's best for the team, what's going to help us really push on second half of the season. But also beyond that, I think that's the important thing for the club is we're not just looking what can have impact in the next 3 months. We have to look beyond that. And again, I think that when you look at some of the recruitment, what we've tried to do is, you know, work towards next season as well as the next 3 months. So I think the structure for me works really well. I think it definitely helps having someone like Liam in terms of his knowledge, his expertise in the recruitment industry, plus the analysis side that, you know, he spends a huge amount of time filtering through players and, you know, collecting data, stats, watching video, to then for us to then sit down and go, right, here are some of the options, and spending time just to then pick the right ones.